And we are on episode 156. Welcome into the Benches Clear podcast, where we cover the best rivalry in all of sports. I am Jesse Gutierrez, and I represent the side of a team that's not playing. So go Padres.
And I'm Dave, representing the side of the Dodgers. I guess I don't have a voice. I'm pretty sick over here on this side, but we're going to try to get through it. Just like the Dodgers are going to try to get through Game 5.
Yeah, I mean, and before we get to Game 5, I know you probably have a lot to say. I guess that makes sense, but maybe we should go over all these games. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do a little brief recap real quick.
Yeah, might as well. Let's see what led us here, what got us here. I guess maybe we should go around the league. Let's go right in order. This is still an episode, right? We're going around the league. The Mets move on.
Before we do, we are going to do that, but I wanted to ask you because I did forget. I have been under the weather, but I forgot my predictions. Do you remember them? Do you have them?
No. Not right now. No, I was even trying to remember my predictions. I'm pretty sure I said the Phillies were going to move on. I'm like 98% sure I said that. So dumb as shit, I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure you went the opposite though. So you're still batting 1,000.
Yeah, I also picked the Yankees, right? I don't think I picked the Tigers.
Okay. We'll find out what happened. Their Game 4 is today. And is any game started yet?
No, we're having the pregame right now. I think the New York and the Royals are playing first. Yeah,
so we're recording a half hour before the Guardians and Tigers game. Hopefully the Tigers can end it out, and hopefully the Royals can squeak out a game, because I believe I did Royals Tigers. So
yeah,
that sound about right?
Those are two teams that are like probably the D-backs of last year, right? I mean,
yeah,
not the Mets and the Tigers. I think they're on that kind of run,
right? Which is a GM's dream. You don't have to spend all this money, and you get a deep postseason run. I'm pretty sure that's what GM's dream of. Not GMs, sorry, owners.
Yeah, I don't know about GMs. I think the owners are living the dream.
Right. Well, I think it's a GM dream too, because it makes them look like super smart. They get to be the know-it-alls, and basically get to be what Farhan Zaidi was in 2021. He was the star of that show, him and Gabe Kapler. So maybe that's a thing. Is that even a whatever? Who knows? But I think maybe we have to go back when we are we going to live it tomorrow, Big Dave?
I think we should right before the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you want to do it during the game, like at the very end, or is that gonna be too much for you?
That might be a little too painful if we're losing.
Okay, maybe we'll do it beforehand, or something like that. I think we got like a 5 o'clock. Ooh, we'll figure it out behind the scenes. We'll be posting about it and make sure you know what time we're going live. So, man, let's get to the meat and bones, Dave. I think we've gone enough around the league. Well, I guess maybe we should ask one question. If you could, I want to say the Mets are the hottest team right now, but they're also going to have like a 4 or 5 day layover. Are they going to have that same effect, going into the NLCS? What are you feeling?
I guess as a Dodger fan, you'd be like, yeah, definitely that's going to affect you. But I don't know, because I've seen a different team this year with the Dodgers. The first game they showed up. The second one, they got shut down. But throughout this series, they continue to fight. And I don't expect any different from the Mets. I think they're kind of on that D-backs kind of run. So I think it would help them, because they've been playing playoff baseball since before the playoffs started. They've been fighting tooth and nail to get in there, and this would probably be their first time to actually relax and have a couple of days off. So maybe it cools them off a little bit, but I don't know, man. This time of the year, you have a goal to get to. I don't think that should really deter or change anything, but we'll see.
Right, and I guess that's a real question into, because I've seen some complaining. So you're saying there should be no complaining from Dodger fans about the playoff format if they lose tomorrow.
Correct. I mean,
Okay.
only because I've seen a different side of this team. You know, it's almost like the same script from 2022 where they won the first one, lost the next two, or actually lost the next three. And you're like, well, it's the layoff. But this year it's like they've shown fight. They've shown that despite the rest, they're in there, you know, and they put up a good series so far. So I know the Phillies went out with a whimper, but like, I don't know. It was their first time having the 5 days off for the Phillies. Right. So maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe knowing how to handle the 5 days off helped the Dodgers. Right. So we'll see how it affects the Mets. But it's only going to be what they just won yesterday.
Yes.
So they'll only have. Oh yeah, they will have 4 days off. You're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did the math earlier. I'm good at counting to 4. So, yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I get what you're saying. You know, if a team is flat, you can kind of blame the format. You can blame the layover. But this series is, I believe, everything that was as advertised. I mean, we're going to get into it. It was like a dogfight, blowout, blowout. You know, on both ends. One note about this Dodger Padres series, it feels like it's super long. I don't know if it's just me, but you know, I'm watching it and you know, you look at the score. I think it was in Game 3 when the Padres were up like 6-1, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be bad. And I realized, like, shit, this is like only the 3rd inning. Like it felt like it was at least like the 6th or 7th. And then, you know, obviously Teoscar, which we're going to get into a little bit later. But is it just me? Is it are you feeling like these games are longer?
A little bit, and I think it has a lot to do with the starting rotation. I think if we had decent starting rotation, it might be a completely different series. Because when you look back at it, the Padres have done their damage in like one big inning, and then they either don't score again or they just score once. Apart from that game 2 where they were just like hitting everything out of the ballpark. But that's how tough this whole series has been. So I think it is long because I don't know. It does seem really long so far.
All right. Well, I think it's time. All right. Let's talk about this game.
Let's talk about game 1.
Let's get happy for you. You can get happy, then you can get sad, then you can get happy, then you can get sad. Or no, sorry, you're sad for a minute and then you're gonna get happy. That's called foreshadowing. Game 1. One of those dogfight games, kind of back and forth. People are hitting home runs. I was kind of talking shit. I mean, obviously, I had that prediction. Shohei was going to go triple 50 with 0 for 50 in the postseason. He was 0 for 1. I messed up and talked shit, and then the next at-bat home run. So, any notes on game 1?
I think the Padres messed up. I think there was no reason to ever pitch to Ohtani, and we thank them. He had his moment right there as a Dodger. I think that changed the whole game. Even though they came back and took the lead, it just showed that, hey, we can, we can hit. Like, we can get back into it. It doesn't matter the deficit. We can come back in and still do something. And they did. Right. And the bullpen was pretty electric, and it was a dogfight, man. Every inning was – I mean, I was talking about this before with someone. It was like, these playoffs are so entertaining to everybody who's not a Dodger and Padres fan.
Right.
If you're in it, I don't even want to watch it sometimes. It's like, it's so freaking stressful, man. Every inning, every at bat, like it's horrible. At the end of the first game, I was exhausted. I didn't even have the energy to like update people or try to troll people. Some people had been doing it the whole week, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it, man. Today's the day off. I don't even want to be on Twitter. I just want to relax. You know what I'm saying? And these, a lot of these fans are just like going back and forth. I'm like, Jesus, this is exhausting. It's only game one.
Yeah. In other news, Dave is getting old. He's getting too old for this shit. One interesting, I guess, note is just it was, the top starting pitchers for both team, and they both didn't make it out of the fourth inning. Yamamoto only going 3, Cease getting 1 out in the fourth, but one in the third. But it just seems like a complete bullpen series, and whatever team advances, it's probably going to catch up to you. I'm not sure how long you could go with 2 or 3 starting pitchers that are reliable. I don't know if it's because the Padres and Dodgers offense is so great, or if the starting pitching is tired and is bad. So I guess you won't see until the next series.
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's more about the lineups, dude. I think the Padres, I tweeted it out. I think they're the most complete team left on the field. They got a good lineup, they got good pitching, and they got a good bullpen. Dodgers don't have the bullpen, so they have to make up with it. I mean, the starting rotation, so they have to make up with it with the offense. And when you look at the field, I don't know who matches them offensively out there. So, the Mets play the Brewers, who are they're a little bit weak on the offensive side, in my opinion. So They had the upside there. The Phillies, who had a really great lineup, they just didn't show up. So that was the difference in that one. But, any else, if these were the remaining teams, I think a lot of people would take the Dodgers lineup above everybody else. So,
both lineups are banging. In this game one, if we're just specifically talking about game one, the Dodgers were 4 for 16 with runners in scoring position, and the Padres were 2 for 11, but they brought the long ball. So when you don't cash in and in singles and driving guys in, just drive yourself in. So I guess that's that. Who cares? Or you could drive someone in reverse. So that was the way they went in game one. This was just like one of those teeter-totter back and forth. Is there anything else that you feel like needs to be talked about in game one?
Not really. The bullpen was great. I think Freddie showed heart coming out and playing in that game. I don't know how good he's going to be going forward, but I think it uplifted him a little bit to see him in the lineup, and that helped. But it was a great game. Yeah. Game one.
It's Freddie Freeman. He's hitting like 275, but I believe his OPS is like not even the 6s. So
he's pretty much a singles hitter right now, man.
Yeah, is it better just to let Muncy move over to first and let Kike with his, he's not that great of a player, but he has that postseason pedigree where, he shows up in October. Is that a better combination versus, creating a hole at third defensively, and you got half of what Freddie Freeman is?
Yeah, I think that's the move, man. And Freddie's got to be, just like they said, he was pretty honest with himself, and like, I'm not helping the team being out there. So I do think that Kike is he gets up for those moments. He doesn't always come through, but he has a lot of moments that he has come through. And Muncy, you lose a little bit defensively, but he's a really good defensive first baseman. He had been for a while before he got hurt and before he got Freddie. So you don't lose much because the player that you're putting out there in Freddie isn't the same Freddie. So why not go with Kike, go with Muncy, and shore up the defense, and maybe you get a special hit from Kike. You never know. So I would be in favor of leaving Freddie on the bench, and he's a weapon later on if you need him.
That's a good point. I feel like this is going to be maybe it might not be because of everything that happened in this game. This was just an all-time slaughter fest. This was, I don't want to say borderline embarrassing, because these games happen in the postseason. I think the biggest thing maybe might be that Flaherty was kind of disappointing. He's kind of might be your best pitcher. And I mean, he did get into the 6th inning, but he gave up 4 runs. Technically, it wasn't that crazy, but you know, a couple of bullpen guys did get tagged. I mean, I guess before we talk about the antics, maybe we should just finish with how we're feeling with the everything that happened, in the box score. How did you feel about it?
Well, I would have been really pissed off had we lost 6-2 or 4-2. But the home runs they gave up, it was Edgardo Enriquez, I believe. It was Michael Grove. It was guys that they're just in there to clean up. And, it didn't change anything. I think, if anything, it let them relax a little bit. It's easier to lose a blowout than it is to lose a close game, emotionally wise, I would think, because you can get over a 10-run loss instead of like, oh, damn, we really had just 1 run and we couldn't get it kind of thing, right? So,
right.
I think it was easier to get over this game. And this game was more about the antics and everything that happened than the actual game at the end, I think.
Okay. Well, let's get into those antics. We're here and we're talking about this game. I guess I should probably just give you the floor on what you think, who was at fault and how it snowballed and all that kind of stuff. And what's your feelings on it?
Well, I mean, I'll preface it with saying that you shouldn't throw anything at a player ever, regardless of what you feel, what he said to you, whatever. You shouldn't. It's dangerous and it makes your fan base look shitty sometimes. But at the same time, Profar is a guy that you hate him when he's on the opposition, and if he's on your team, you love him. You love his antics. But you can't be a Padres fan and tell me that he doesn't love control. I mean, he made the catch, stared at the fans for what seemed like forever. The game, everybody was waiting to see if he made the grab. He's too busy over there trolling the fans. And sure, it's fun if you're a Padres fan, but you're just enticing the fans. And then you got Tatis on the other side doing dancing and tears and sticking his tongue out, which is fine. Whatever, you want to do that, that's fine. But you're going to get mocked for it when you lose the other game and you're just sitting quietly in the dugout and like, where's the other Tatis? What happened? You only it's like you're just a front runner. And that's basically what I feel, some of this stuff is. But I did not like that they threw stuff out there. But at the same time, it's like we've seen other players do this. We saw Miles Straw do it with the Yankees. He even went up the wall to try to talk to the freaking fans and whatever it was. So, I mean, do you blame just the fans? Do you blame the player? I don't know. I thought it was a little too much on both sides, but and then Manny throwing the ball. Like, I don't know what happened in 2018. I don't know if he thinks that Roberts said, hey, let's not sign him. I don't know what grudge he has against Roberts. That I've seen it plenty of times. It doesn't always get picked up, but he hits a big home run. He hits something big. He always stares at either the dugout or Roberts. And I'm like, what did he do to you? Like, what's the backstory that you hate this guy so much? There's got to be something. There is
more.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's who they are. That's what they thrive off. Like Muncie said, they feed off that emotion. And that's how they play. And for the Dodgers, if they can match that, then they'll be okay. But, I mean, I don't know. It was a bit embarrassing all around, but whatever. It's playoff baseball. Bring it on. You know what I mean? I'd rather have that than a stadium quiet and not caring.
Right. I will say I think it is rich that Max Muncy was complaining about celebrations for singles when you guys have a dance. You have a dance for singles and you have a dance for doubles. That's a little rich to me.
But that's twisting it though, because he didn't say that he had a problem with it. He said they pimp singles and that gets them going. That's what they do to get them going. I never heard him say like, I don't like that they do that for singles.
Yeah, he did say that it gets under their skin. Like they're trying to get under their skin. So I get what you're saying. I could see it from that angle, but you are mentioning it is implying that it's getting under your skin. They bat flip for single. Yeah. So, but you guys do dances when you do singles. So
my thought was like, dude, if you're saying this, then they're in your head already. because you don't bring this up unless they're already causing some kind of effect on you. Just ignore it. Just don't bring it up. And then to talk all that talk and go, oh, for whatever, that shit was weak. You know what I mean?
Right.
Back it up then.
Honestly, I feel like when it comes to the antics, I think I love everything that Tatis did. I love everything Profar did. I love pretty much everything the fans did up until they started throwing shit on the field, except for that one guy when Profar gave that guy a ball and he said, fuck this, and threw it like the opposite way, not even close to him. I even like that. You know, I don't see there being any problem with that. But when you're throwing stuff at players, I think that's where you cross the line. Yeah. Now, if a player is taunting, because obviously Dodger fans are talking shit to, I mean, that's bleachers in every stadium.
Yeah.
They're talking shit to the, I mean, I remember doing it a lot to Kike in Oracle, and then he's dancing and he's talking shit to us as well. It was right when the Dodgers, I think, clinched in, I want to say 2015, but it might have been like 16 or 17. But it was kind of like, all right, you freaking got us. What are we going to say? They clinched the division. He turns around and is laughing. And yeah, you won. You know, you won that battle. So I don't mind players dancing and taunting, but you're going to get it from the other end. You can't get mad at for the fans for yelling and taunting. That kind of comes with the territory, but I think the line gets crossed, obviously, when shit gets thrown on the field. Because obviously, yeah, it's a health, it's a safety hazard. I mean, health and safety, I guess, is the same thing. But when I hear health, I think of, I don't know, like someone's getting sick. But you know what I mean? Like, it's a safety hazard. But also, people got to run up and clean after your shit. You know, people that work at the stadium. So just don't be that guy. And I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah, because, you know, everybody was saying, oh, my God, that's what Roberts was so upset about. It was so traumatizing. And fine, you can make fun of him for all you want. But at the same time, Profar, the ball wasn't that close to him either. And he went running like he just got, you know, shot or something, yelling at all the umpires and being like, oh, my God, over there. Like, you're a little dramatic, my guy.
Right. I don't know. I mean, if you're turned around, it could. I mean, if you see a ball squirt past you, you could kind of maybe not understand where it's coming from about being close. You can't get mad at the first one. I don't think there's any way you can get mad at the first one. I could see maybe you're getting mad at the other ones because it's like now they're starting to throw shit. Even if it's not that close, it's like now they're starting to throw shit. When's it going to stop? Like, am I good to play, like to turn around and pay attention to the game, or am I going to get hit with a fucking battery next time? You know? So, you know, I mean, and when it comes to Manny Machado, I didn't know the ins and outs of it. I assumed when I heard about it, I was like, isn't that what players do? They throw, you know, balls to the other dugout all the time. It definitely was more than I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of throwing from you know, players throwing in, how it looks or how it comes in. I don't know if it was extreme. I also don't think that the Dodgers players would make up that it was more extreme out of nothing. So I don't know. To claim to be an expert on it, if it was too much or too little, and you're not in that dugout and you're not a major league player, I think is one thing. But I mean, there had to be something there for them to be that upset, because it was instant. It's not like they saw the video later and they were like, "Oh, that's scary." When it happened, you could see Teoscar was like visibly upset, like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? So
yeah,
and that's like, obviously elevated.
And I was on Profar's side to an extent up until, you know, the very next inning. They're like, hey, what happened over there when you made the catch? Or the first inning, they're like, hey, what happened? What did you say to the fans? He's like, oh, I didn't say anything. They were just trying to take the ball away. And I'm like, dude, there's video. You have the ball and you're muttering stuff to them, like,
right.
And don't act like a villain and then don't own up to it.
And then throw your hands up.
Right. Don't own up to it.
And to be fair, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see him say anything, but you're jumping and you're like you're taunting and so yeah, you might, let's say he didn't say anything. Let's say, you know, whatever. You're still taunting. You know what you're doing. Yeah, let's not play stupid here.
and this is the first inning, my guy. Like, you're gonna go out there for 8 more innings. It's only
Right.
gonna get worse if you guys keep winning. Like, they're not gonna get any less rowdy because they're losing. Like, come on, you know that. So, and then
Right.
with the Manny thing, he threw the ball and he stared. He kept staring, and I didn't think much of it until I saw Teoscar being like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing? Like, why?"
Right.
Like if Max Muncy throws a ball in the direction of Mike Schilt, I am 100% sure that dugout is going to step up for their team, for their coach, manager. Right. So that's basically the same thing they were trying to do, and they just like, oh, you're soft, but whatever. I mean,
and maybe it's playing checkers. They are getting under their skin. You could tell they're getting under the Dodger players' skin. There's also a theory that Dave Roberts is kind of using that to kind of rally the troops, if you will. I'm not sure if that's
excellent on his part. Right? Like somebody said it was the Phil Jackson thing. I'm like, you have Will Smith not hitting a lick. You have Max Muncy disappearing. You have Shohei all of a sudden struggling in those games.
You got to do something.
And you have Mookie nowhere to be found. And so he took all of that and he took the attention to himself. Nobody was talking about how the other guys were struggling. The whole story was Dave Roberts, he's soft, all this. And I'm sure he's like, I don't mind it if you're not talking about my players. Let them relax and get ready for the next game. So if that was the case, congrats. Kudos to him.
Well, I guess it would I guess it could kind of I was going to try to transition into the next game and it worked because I just realized that they lost game 3 as well. But it was another back and forth nail biter, especially after the Teoscar grand slam. I mean, I don't even remember who started these. Oh, I know it was. Oh, sorry, Bueller and King started these games. Were you pleasantly surprised? I know you were kind of down on Bueller. Were you pleasantly surprised on what he gave? I mean, at least he gave you a little bit of length. I'm not sure if you could call it that with 5 innings, but nowadays technically it is kind of length.
I think that game changed with the Machado base running, which again, everybody's like, everything he does is problematic. I'm like, no, he did what he had to do, and he didn't get called for it, so it worked out. You know, even Freddie was like, hey man, you can do that, and they didn't call it. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's a bad move. It worked. I think if that, and Miguel Rojas playing on a bad freaking leg or whatever it is, toss the ball. Everybody, you know, I know there's been IG comments and everything, and that was huge. So little things like that changed the whole game. But the fact that they came back and fought and still try to make it a game, it showed a lot to me, because they could have just easily been like, you know what, we're already down 6-1 in the second or third. That's it. Let's just pack it up and wait for tomorrow. But they fought, and that was good to see. But yeah, I mean, I think I had said it to somebody too. I'm like, hey, listen, Michael King was amazing in his first game. Amazing. He's not doing that in the second game. The law averages just dictates that he's not going to be, even if he's a little bit shittier, just a little, he's going to be shittier than his first start, dude. He's just not going to duplicate that. And I was right. He gave up 5 runs. So that's what I'm hoping happens in Game 6 with Yu Darvish.
Yeah, it's a little bit of foreshadowing, as we in the biz like to call it. There's, I'm not sure how much there is to unpack here. I mean, as far as I did see someone did say, technically there's no base path when you're going from any other base besides first, home to first on a force play, right? And from what I forgot where I heard this, to be honest with you. I just don't. I feel bad. I don't want to. I just wanted to be known it wasn't my thought or my take, but I forgot where I heard this from. It's also, they're like, hey, and you also get taught on that play to hit the guy between the shoulders, because then the umpire will call it if you hit him directly on. Then they're kind of looking for it. If it's like a skim, they're less likely to call it, because it just looks like it kind of nicked him a little bit. So there's that part of it. Yeah, man. When, like I said earlier, when Teoscar hit that grand slam, it was, I didn't realize how early it was. I thought it was later in the game because it felt. I mean, third inning is when it happened. It felt like it was at least a six. So did make it a game, and it was nice and back and forth, and a nail biter for the rest of the way.
I don't think Freddie's that type of player. I think he'll try to play the right way until he can't. You know what I mean? So anybody else, maybe if that was Muncy, maybe he throws it to the back without hesitation. Who knows? But
yeah, but I don't consider that dirty. I don't think that's considered not the right play. Like, hey, you're trying to go this way. I don't. You can't really fault Manny for doing that. I would imagine other, Dodger players, if they're in the same situation, they would do the same thing. I don't consider it to be dirty to hit him in the back.
No, I don't think it's dirty, but I don't think Freddie of all people will try to avoid hurting someone. Is what I mean. You know what I mean? I think he's just the nicest guy, and if he doesn't have to hurt. If he was standing
but that guy just threw a ball at your manager. Why not give that your free lick right there?
You can't change the character of a person, man. And Freddie Freeman,
yes,
you can hate him all you want because he's a Dodger, but as a human being, he's one of the best human beings we have. So I think if he was standing up, he probably throws it over Manny and still gets the out. But he wasn't. He even said it. He's like, I wouldn't have changed anything. If that play happened again, I'd probably do the same thing.
Well, that's a terrible look because the ball got squirted away and you lost the game. So you should change what you're doing. But Freddie, you just gotta get you gotta get a little dirty. I mean, everyone's talking shit about Dodger fans right now for throwing stuff on the field. Yeah, play into your brand a little bit, I guess, or at least the forced brand that people are putting on you, and just peg the guy in the back. Everyone's gonna love you for it. I mean, Joe Kelly probably has been on the team longer than he should be just because he did hit Alex Bregman. So come on, dude. What are you doing?
True.
Come on, dude. Learn where you are and read the room, huh?
Hey man, he's only on the team because he made that pouty face. Let's relax.
All right, now you can.
We also did learn that Teoscar's built for the moment. He's given us a couple of big moments in this series so far.
Yeah, do you feel like? Oh, I guess maybe we should wait for that for the overview. Or I mean, we could tie this into Game 4 because it was an all-out slugfest for the Dodgers side. But I know going into this, you were like, if the guys just show up, we're good. Do you feel like the offense has shown up?
Yes, because you want Mookie to show up, you want Shohei to show up. And those guys can change a game completely. But you also need guys to set them up. So if Lux comes in, if Edman can show up, if Will Smith wakes up, then all of a sudden you're not just worried about the big guys. Then you got to really worry about the whole lineup. And they finally showed up. Lux hit a home run. Will Smith hit a home run, and hopefully that wakes him up. So the surrounding cast finally shows up, and that's big news. Hopefully that means they're awake, and for Game 5 they can continue it. Yeah,
I mean, I think Mookie is hitting over 260 and now has an over 1 OPS. So in this postseason, everyone so well documented how bad he started the first couple games. So he's heating up. And if you're looking at these games, I mean, what is it? They scored 7-5 or 7-2, then 5, and then 8. So you can't really, obviously, you can complain about Game 2 scoring 2 runs, but those games are going to happen. If we talked about this a little bit beforehand, but if you're the World Series or bust team, you would expect a couple of good starting pitching performances, and they just haven't gotten them. They don't really have that right now, which is kind of shocking. Do you feel like they should have done more at the trade deadline to address the starting pitching?
I think the heavy lifting should have been done in the offseason. I think they hitched their wagons to 2 guys that were unproven. One health-wise with Glasnow, and one with just not having any experience in MLB and Yamamoto. And I can't blame him for Yamamoto. I think he's going to be a great pitcher.
Right.
His first year was always going to be rocky, unless he was just like a future Hall of Famer from the get-go, But it's okay that he's struggling. It's okay that he's struggling in the postseason. It's his first game. the Glass now one hurts, man, because this team is you're talking about World Series favorites if he's on the team. It completely changed. I don't know if they're still favorites right now with the offense that they have. I haven't checked the Vegas odds or whatever, but you got to think that if they had Glass now, they're running away with it, kind of thing with the odds, because it just changes everything. So there's not much to do in the trade deadline. I don't think there's only so much you can do. I mean, because as Friedman said, the prices are astronomical. They're going to try to get everything from you at the deadline, and he's just not going to do it.
Right.
I mean, and all that said, he still ended up with the best starter that was dealt. So you could be mad at them that they put their faith in maybe the wrong guys, but they did do their work, man. They did sign people. They did have a lot of people pitchers available. They just all went down like flies.
And I think that's where I think some of the criticism is kind of warranted. I mean, at that time, you didn't know when Yamamoto was coming back or not. You weren't sure what was going on with Glass now. Obviously, a lot of these rookies were kind of up and down. I know Gavin Stone was having a good year, but if you're kind of World Series or bust, you need a little assurance. I'm sorry, but like the Dodgers always had the best farm system in baseball. I'm sure they could have convinced somebody to get a Nate Eovaldi, to get to maybe overpay for one of the Rangers starters. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the reason you guys didn't get, who was the starting pitcher who you guys didn't end up getting, but you ended up keeping like May, Vargas, and Miller, and that was a big thing. I forgot what starter you guys were going after, but they ended up pulling out. We kept Vargas, we kept Miller, we kept Gavin Stone, and we kept who was the other? I just said him.
May.
Yeah, I mean, only one guy is good at the moment, and if you're World Series or bust, I mean, you got to gamble a little bit. You got to kind of go more after it. I don't know.
Maybe I think you also need your young guys to step up, man. And this year, I love Bobby Miller, man, but he was supposed to be a huge part of this rotation. And whether it's injuries, whether it was mental, whatever it was, he's sitting at home right now because, he just didn't have it this year, unfortunately. And so that doesn't help. Walker Buehler, you can't rest. You're right, because you can't have Walker Buehler and pretend like he's just going to be the old Walker Buehler. So I think, if anything, they should have done more in the offseason pitching-wise when there was a lot of arms available.
But then again, at the same time, like at the beginning of the season, you're thinking Bobby Miller's still a guy. This is his second year. You can't. I think they had a lot of starting pitching depth too. In that, May's coming back and this guy's coming back, and this is gonna be a full season for this guy. But when you see where the chips are lying in your World Series or bust bound, you got to do some unreasonable shit and not really think about the future if you're in that mode. There's got to be plenty of teams who are going to be like, oh, Bobby Miller? For who? Yeah, let's do it. Maybe you're going to have to probably add someone to overpay, but you're going to have to do that. Bobby Miller should probably be good down the road, but if you're playing for right now, you need to do what you got to do right now to have a freaking starting pitcher. I don't think anyone from the Dodgers side has gotten out of the fifth inning, right? Flaherty went
6, didn't he?
Did he go 6?
I thought he went.
Don't
I'm
make
not
me
sure.
Look stupid.
He might have not. He might have got.
All right. Flaherty got into the 6th inning. Sorry, out of the 6th inning. That would make me sound smart.
But who was out there, man? Like, I know you want like these names, but Skubal was not going to be traded, and that's the arm that you give up everything for, and they just declined that. Crochet was like, "Hey, man, I want a contract. I want all this before you even try to trade for me, even though I'm only going to
get me a unicorn and a dragon."
Yeah, he's like, "I know I'm only going 3-4 innings, and I might be gassed by then, but hey, I want it all." And it's like, okay, I don't know if we want that. We'll see.
Well,
and
the Rangers had starting pitching. Nathan Eovaldi, especially with his postseason pedigree, there were some arms that weren't exactly traded, but I'm sure you could have pried him from that team if you were like, hey, I'm going to give you this guy and that guy, you're in. You also got to step your foot on the gas too. I don't know if anyone would have gotten the Giants to trade Blake Snell just because Farhan is just so in love with just standing pat. But there was other guys. It might not have been Scooble or Crochet level, but should be someone that can get you at least into the sixth inning in staying in a game. And the Dodgers have only gotten that one time, and they ended up losing that game.
I think it would hold more value if other teams got these players, but nobody got them. Like, they weren't just available. Like, it takes two to make a trade, and the Rangers didn't trade anyone.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we don't know what's in.
True.
We weren't flies in the room. We don't know. But it just seems like, to me, the Dodgers' number one farm system, they could have sent a couple guys to get a Nathan Eovaldi. I mean, call me crazy, but I feel like that's not an impossibility. The only one that was dumb enough not to trade anyone for 3 years is Farhan. So don't talk. I know, and plus the Dodgers and Giants are probably going to trade within each other, but so that they're unreasonable. But there are reasonable organizations out there. So, I think it's time to talk a little what's about to happen, Dave. We got the best two pitchers on both teams. Darvish, who killed the best starting pitcher of this series. He went 7 innings and only 1 run. And the Dodgers throwing TBD, who won yesterday. So,
I mean, I'll say it again. It's hard for me to think that Darvish is going to be lights out. I think it's going to be a game. You know, I don't think it's going to be like the second game where he was just dialed in. He's going on 4 days rest, first of all. And then secondly, I mean, they've already seen him. So I think, is it 4 days rest or is he on normal rest? Because he pitched game 2.
Okay. Yes. Game 2. You're right. Right.
So I don't know. I think something's going to have to give on both sides. I think it's going to be a hard fought game, but maybe not. Hopefully I hope it's a blowout and the Dodgers win it. But the way these guys go at each other, the way they hate each other, apparently, it should be a very exciting game where I'll age another 50 years. And by the time I get back on the mic, I won't be able to talk at all.
Right.
Either I won't want to, or I won't be able to. It'll be one of the others.
Yeah. You're just going to take my voice. I don't even care anymore.
Take it. If
this makes me really sad to say, because I do want the Dodgers to lose the worst way possible. But it seems like the way the playoffs are, it's just the opposite always happens. I mean, the Dodgers are probably going to be mainly throwing out Yamamoto, mostly. There might be an opener, or they might just go second bullpen game. Who knows? Maybe even throw Jack Flaherty on 4 days rest a little bit for a couple innings. And it just seems like there's such advantage to the Padres because they have their guy that's done the best against the Dodgers this series, that it's almost set up that it's like, well, then the Dodgers are going to win. Just in the same way as last year when we kept hearing how Merrill Kelly's never won a game at Dodger Stadium and Kershaw has never lost a game against the Diamondbacks or something crazy like that. It's like, okay, that he's going to lose. Like it's almost like set up. There's got to be some sort of storyline to it, and that's always, it seems, how it happens. So I don't know.
Well, the NLCS starts on Sunday, right? I don't think it matters how you get there. I think you play this game, obviously, do or die. So everybody should be available, no matter the role. If Yamamoto's not good, you yank him out. If Flaherty's ready to go, you put him in. I think you just go with everything you got. And I think Roberts, as much as he gets hate, he has done a really good job when it comes to bullpen games. I think he knows who to call in, who to not call in, whether it's predetermined before the game with Friedman and the whole staff. They always have a good plan when it comes to bullpen games. So I'm not worried about that part. I'm worried about who's starting, whether it's going to be Yamamoto, whether it's going to be Flaherty, and then hopefully just have a quick hook if something goes bad. But it's all hands on deck for me.
Yeah, and that does make sense. Obviously, that's it. The thing is that the bad part about doing so many bullpen games and obviously not starting pitching, not going in deep into games is these guys are getting so many looks at these relievers back to back to back. I know the bullpen has been the best for the Dodgers at this moment, but how long is that going to last when you're, you know, seeing the same guy 3 days in a row? It's just the same with starting pitching. The third time through is always, when the starting pitcher just sucks all of a sudden. But it's the same. I mean, you're seeing your reliever who usually only has 2 pitches 3 days in a row, and it's like you're going to start picking up things on him. So,
well, I mean that that makes a lot of sense, not a little sense, but at the same time, it's division rivals. This isn't new to them. It's not like if this was the Mets, I'd be like, yeah, they're starting to get a hang of our pitchers. It's gonna, right. But you faced this team how many times in the regular season? You've seen the pitchers how many times already? Like, there's nothing to be unexpected on either side. It's just like, hey, man, they're gonna give you their best stuff. Hit it. So it's as simple as that with these two teams.
I think there is a thing, seeing back to back in so long, because series are only three games long, sometimes 4, but most of the time like 3 games, and then certain relievers are unavailable if they're going back to back because it's so spread out. You put your main guys in there, so you're seeing the same dudes back to back, right after another. So I think that's the only part that that would worry me. And that gives me a little bit of hope that the Padres might be able to get to this bullpen. But I think, like I said, I know we joked about how TBD is the Dodgers' best pitcher right now. That's their bullpen. The bullpen's been carrying them. So there's that definitely the storyline of number 1 versus number 1, the hottest pitcher on the Padres against the Dodgers, and the hottest pitcher on the Dodgers, which is the bullpen. So there's that storyline. We'll obviously we'll see what happens in getting this ready. So,
I mean, and there's also something to be said. Like the Padres, this will be what their second, maybe their second time playing for their playoff lives, whereas the Dodgers are kind of used to this kind of thing. I know they haven't always succeeded in these moments, but at least they know the moment or what to expect in this kind of game. And it helps to have your crowd with you, man. It's a huge thing. I know that the Padres like being the villains. They like going on the road. They like shutting people up. But this is completely different. This is like there's no tomorrow. You can't mess up. So there's
Rocky IV. Come on.
There's finally pressure on them too. So we'll see who can handle the pressure better.
Dave, it's about to happen. Game 5. You're going to hear it for the rest of your life, or you're going to be able to give it to the Padres for the rest. Well, until next year. So maybe you face them again in the playoffs. How do you think this game is going to go? Who's winning? What's the score?
Listen, man.
I guess that's it.
Like I said,
who's going to be the MVP of the game? Sorry, that was my last one.
First of all, I'm sick right now, so I am not going to have the energy, regardless tomorrow what happens, to say anything. I am just going to fall asleep happy or sad because I'm an old man, apparently. I think somebody who's not Shohei, who's not Mookie, is going to come up big for the Dodgers.
Okay.
I would put my hat on. I at the start of the series, I said Edman, and he's had a couple moments, not really. But I feel like Kike is going to do something because I feel like he's going to start the game. Whether it's a late inning heroic home run or something, I feel like he's just going to do something. He's just that type of guy. And I feel like the Dodgers win it by 1 or 2 runs.
Okay. I mean, if I'm going the opposite side here, which obviously I am, I just feel like Tatis, he rides on this moment. I hate to go with the main dude, but I feel like he's just really hot right now, and he just kills it at Dodger Stadium. And you got to go with the hot hand. I think, I don't know. I got to go with Tatis. I also am thinking that Darvish does have a good game. He might not go as deep, but I think Darvish is going to go maybe 5, maybe 6, giving up maybe 1 run. And Tatis is going to have a really big hit. Padres win. Dodgers are out. It would make me sad because then we're going to podcast obviously less if the Dodgers are out. But it will make me happy because the Dodgers will be out of the playoffs. So
let's do everything in our power so Jesse remains unhappy, guys. If you're out there, Dodgers, you can hear me. Keep them unhappy.
Too much good things are going on for me. Good things. So you got to, at least baseball's got to make me sad. Yeah, I mean, we'll figure out what we're going to do with this live thing. But, man, thank you guys so much for listening. We're going to be here after for sure, at least after game 5 to figure out. We might be previewing, the NLCS and the Mets series, or we're just going to be hearing Dave cry for 45 minutes about what rules screwed the Dodgers this time, or if it's the playoff format. Who knows?
Unless something egregious happens, I have no problem admitting that the Dodgers just lost. So we'll see. But hopefully we're not even talking about that. Hopefully I'm just happy, and we'll see.
And then it's going to be Grimace and Oh My God versus the Dodgers in their non-pitching. But until then,
the power of friendship versus the Dodgers, I guess, if that happens.
The power of money. Yeah. Until then, Dave, it's been real. Make sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform, as well as YouTube. Please, it helps us out a lot. Make sure to follow us on your socials. TikTok Benches Cleared, Twitter Benches Cleared P, and Instagram Benches Cleared Podcast. Thank you so much.
And we're starting a new one, right? OnlyFans Benches Cleared, right? Is that the one that we're going with?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Benches Cleared After Dark.
Exactly.
So only pans where we just eat a bunch of food.
And you know what? I hope the Dodgers do win. Well, obviously I hope they win. But Brandon, who was our last guest, was giving me some crap, some light jabbing because they lost the other game. I saw him retweeting something. So we need a win because we need to put that guy in his place.
Put Brooks in his place. He's a nice guy, but yeah, why
Brandon,
not?
Didn't I? I meant Brooks
too. Yeah, but until then, we'll be here. We'll be hanging out. And we'll see you guys soon. Come hang out.